I realize now after I send the title and all my buddies texted me saying, "Is this a joke?" So I took probably the wrong title. This is not about me being a phone up. So
Quotation marks.
yeah. So this is, I looked at the list of talks that we have, and everybody's talking about different techniques and things like that. But what can I actually teach you guys? Is probably something I've just been through recently is how to get through this and what to do from here to the end. And then we're actually going to do a talk at the end of the year of like what to do as a first year attending and like how to build your practice, how to get busy, how to say yes to everything. So this is I don't think I have 30 minutes of PowerPoint, and this is mostly made to be more conversational and questions and like what do you mean or how do you do this or what's the best way to kind of finish the year strong. You guys are kind of there now, what, 3-4 months in, and figured probably most of it out. Now it's hopefully kind of smooth sailing, and you have to figure out how to challenge yourself the rest of the year because you could technically just be on autopilot for the rest of the year. So, it's good. So let's see if this works. All right. So this is you guys on match day. Hold on, I'm on Insidious call, I guess. So that was probably what, in April. And you realize you got all these awesome faculty you're about to start working with. And all you want to do is give us a hug. So you're just excited to work with us and everything's going well and you graduate and then you're stressed out about your boards, which I think you all passed and which is awesome because that's probably the biggest, most stressful thing, right? And then now you're in this process of like, well, that was fine, but then the real board is coming up later. So then you start to realize that you know nothing about spine surgery. Right? So you start to freak out and be like, I've only done 3 months of spine surgery and all I know how to do is hips and knees and ankles. And so you guys come into fellowship and you're a little freaked out. And August comes on and you guys are like, all right, this is tough. And this is drinking out of a fire hose, right? So this is very exciting for you. You got a lot to go. And then you guys kind of get to these guys' rotations, which are awesome, and everything is great, and they're teaching you, and life is good, and it's flowing, right? And then you get over to Encinitas. Throw a little plug in for myself here. I do a bunch of robot stuff, as everybody's heard. Bunch of cool robots there. Some free food as well. This is actually Nikita's shopping cart at the end of the day. So November comes along, which is where we're at now, and you guys are getting pretty comfortable. You're sitting back and you're just enjoying, and everything's going very well. But now we're at the point of kind of like, where were you? Where are you? And what's to come in the future? And then this is essentially just up until the end of this year, because we'll have to talk again in July. So for the past, which is essentially from August 1st to now, just the things, you've done a bunch of cases. You have hopefully notes for every procedure. You guys sent me some of Ruffy's notes once of lateral, positioning, steps, tips, tricks. You guys have done a bunch of PowerPoints, a bunch of pre-op planning. You guys could probably plan out it before me better than anybody else in the country now, just because Mundus and the team here is kind of really touching that. Hopefully you figured out work-life balance. This is, I was talking to Peter, it says like, you're going to work hard, but you also get some time to play and enjoy. And most of you only live in San Diego once in your life. And you should really kind of work with your family and making this work out for you. And you guys are just getting ready for the next part of fellowship. So what should you be doing now? And this is going to kind of be a majority of it, and a little bit on kind of the future. At this point, you should kind of figure out what you're good and bad at. So, you guys have, whoever just came off therapy rotation, like you've done a bunch of deep compressions. So you're like, all right, I'm pretty good at this. I figured it out, but maybe you didn't get that much posterior cervical, or maybe you haven't done this anterior quartz, and you got to sniff out those cases, right? All right. So this is your time to kind of, for lack of better terms, like practice under somebody else's name, right? So you got to sniff out these cases and find them and see what have you not done or what are you just kind of nervous doing because you don't want to be doing it for the first time on your own. And if you're good at decompress, if you feel like you've kind of gotten good decompressions and there's another case going, like talk to who you're with and see like, hey, if it works out, if it's okay, like can I pop over there, even if you're just watching. You do learn a lot by watching. And I think that everybody, whenever you're applying to residency and you're like, I want to be in a place where I'm just operating and not watching anybody, and that's great. But once you kind of start to know what you're doing, you actually do learn a lot more by watching somebody else who's just really good at it, doing it themselves. So always kind of find that time. And I kind of do this where I creep on everybody's schedule and just kind of see what everybody's doing. Right. So you should do the same. Like if you're on Monday's service and Eastside doing something or Bruffy or Ali or me, just pop over. I would go back and update your notes daily. I spent, at Columbia, these guys did cases the same way every single time. It's just like the same way they do them here. You have your notes and you do the case and as you're sitting down and the patient's waking up, sit down and update your notes, right? So like what was that little thing that you missed on your notes from before? And this is a single level ACDF that we used to do. And these are all the steps. And so every time I scrub out, I'd sit down on my computer and as they're waking up, I'd just jot a couple notes down of like things I didn't do, things I did, and different things that I may have missed. And we actually would in fellowship pass down the notes from rotation to rotation, so that way it got updated. And then by the time the second time it came around, it was like perfected. And I actually would even send the notes to Drew or Lehman and be like, "Hey, does this sound right? Is there something I'm missing?" And they kind of even jot notes. And it looks good on you, right? Because you're ahead of it. It also shows them that you care, shows them that you know the steps, and that way they are more comfortable letting you fly. And it also prepares your future co-fellows and makes it a little bit of a data. I don't know if you guys have this, but like a little bit of a database for anybody coming in. Like actually the month before, my two co-fellows are actually on the top today. The month before, we got a big email from one of the current fellows, and it was like, "Here's all the notes. Like, show up prepared." So that was something they told us. If you show up having not read the notes, you're already a month behind. You do know what you're missing. So just like I said, you need to find those cases that you maybe have not seen yet, right? You've only seen one posterior cervical in 4 months, right? So you should be looking out for that case. You don't want to be this blind surgeon. And also, in addition, that kind of helps you because going forward, when you are getting a job or you're applying for credentialing, they're going to want to know what kind of cases you did. So this is my ACDME log, but we weren't accredited, so we didn't have like a log from the hospital. So we had to essentially make a log of cases. So I of course didn't know this, and so I had to backtrack and go through all my cases and write down exactly what I did. And so this is a little bit of work on your part, but if you do it now, it'll help you later, and you make sure you don't miss any cases, and it makes your life easier when you're asking for privileges. It also will, if you categorize it, you'll know what you have done and what you haven't done. Like if you get to it and you're like, I've done 6 ACDFs and 49 decompression. It's like, probably get your hands on an ACDF. I don't think it's a problem here, but just got to kind of be aware of that. I tell you to operate with your co-fellows, right? This is the room, right? This is what the room should be. Be all of you. If you ever have a chance, and I know everybody's tired, wants to get home to their family and everything, but you are going to learn so much from watching your co-fellow operate because the stress level is lower. You're literally watching them, and they are essentially your peer, and you guys are at the same level. So it's like, well, what is he doing differently? Why is he getting to do a little bit more on this ACDF and I'm not? And then you can kind of compare, and it's like healthy comparison. And we would scrub in all the time together as co-fellows and kind of work together. And obviously, there's an attending on the other side, but you can just be there to help as well. And I think all the attendees here would really appreciate that enthusiasm to do it. So this is probably what you think you're the best. There's nobody better, and then you'll scrub in with your co-fellow, and you'll be like, oh my god. And so this is kind of a back and forth, and then you kind of will up your game, and then the next time that co-fellow is scrubbing with you, they're going to be thinking the same thing, and they're going to up their game. And it's just an easy way to learn from each other. And you can also, watch what they're doing, be like, oh, I wouldn't have done that. So, I tell you, record yourself under the scope, right? So, there's a lot of cases here where you're doing a lot of stuff under the microscope, right? Whether it's, lumbar decompressions, or whether it's ACDF, or anything scope is in there, like hit the record button, right? Put it on USB. Here's a video of Rue doing ACDF, right? And I don't know if it was Rue or my co-fellow, he was the one who sent it to me. So you can watch how your burr work is, right? You can watch all the steps, and why can't I see on the microscope? What am I doing? Why did I take too much bone, right? There's little things that you can learn. I don't think we're utilizing the microscopes as good as we should. They're literally an awesome uh, way to learn. Um, that's enough. All right, there we go. How to be a good assistant. Right now, you got us as assistants, and we know exactly where to retract and what to do. And you're about to have somebody across the table from you that has two left hands, right? So in 7 or 8 months, you're going to have somebody that is not used to what you're doing, and you're going to have somebody that has no idea. We got to be able to verbalize to them what you want, and you got to be the first one there, and get the mayo set up, and have all the retractors in place. And it's just like doing a total hip, back in residency, and you got to know where does the retractor go, right? How do you put it in so you see, and also, like, how do you verbalize to the person across the table from you what you want? And I think that some of the best practice from this is doing the case with your co again. It's because you can kind of practice that retraction without them really kind of telling you what to do, right? Versus one of us is just going to put you in the perfect spot right away. That's what I was doing ACDF with Makita, and I was like finding the plane. He's like, stop, stop, stop. Because like, we're just quick. I want to help you out. But in the future, there's no person helping you out. You got to kind of do it on your own. So, be a yes man. Say yes if there's a case, if there's an opportunity, if there's a availability to be a part of something. And obviously, figure out your work-life balance is just something that would stress you. But like, it's in your year to kind of just hunker down and learn and put this time in. Um, just be present, and even if that means you're not actually doing anything, just sometimes just being around makes it look like you're working. Right? Actually, that was advice from my one of my attendings at Cedars. He's like, the best advice I ever have is just be in the office. And obviously, don't waste your time. But if you're doing some research, or if you have the opportunity to just be there, just being in that office and hearing things, and you'll get opportunities. You'll get questions. Someone will pop in and be like, "Oh, do you want to be on this research paper?" Or, "Hey, do you want to help out on this case?" Or something like that. You'll kind of have more opportunity here than if you're at home. So, the thing that most of you guys are doing now is look for a job. Some closer than others, and the dream job is hard to come by, and you got to sacrifice something for others. And whether you're looking for location, partners, research, autonomy, money, private academics, there's a lot of different things. And only one person or you and your family kind of know what you need. And probably the most important thing is just be happy. Find a place people go to work. Be happy with people you work with. Go home happy. Talk to your family. Because if you're going to be miserable at work, but you're making a ton of money, like, you're gonna get home and your family life is gonna be trash. So don't do that to yourself. I think you're all in the right mindset in place to make a good decision. And it sounds like you all kind of have a location picked out, which to me was honestly most important. So and that may not be the case for you, but it probably seems similar. And update your CV. Just keep it updated, because you are going to have so many papers and so many things throughout this year, and you're going to forget, and they're going to be gone. And where you apply, where you go to work is going to ask for your CV, and then everything in the future, right? And I'd also tell you to keep up with the research, because I can't tell you how many papers I've been a part of or published since fellowship, right? So keep track of those, and where are they in the process. I think it's like 9 or 10 papers that have been published since I left. So and presentations. I just presented SRS on a paper that I did maybe a year and a half ago. So now for the future, like where are we going, right? What are we going to do from now to the end? And part of the stuff that we just talked about is also what you're going to be doing, but ask for feedback because Yusuf came through on our service, and I we didn't have any time to talk about feedback maybe. And then one night I was like, oh my God, I didn't tell him anything. So I emailed him and kind of told him how I felt, right? Just a bunch of bad words. So ask for the feedback, right? You're literally not bothering anybody. You set up a little 15-minute meeting and be like, hey, can we just chat about what should I do the next time I come around, or what did I do well, or what should I do better? Because you may think that you suck, or you may think you are awesome, and it may be the opposite, or there's little things, little tips and tricks and tweaks that you can kind of work on to get better at. And that feedback from your mentors is going to mean a lot to you, right? So you really want to kind of use that to kind of gauge where you should be and what you should be doing. So don't be afraid to ask for that feedback. Get into clinic, right? So you're all here and you guys want to operate and think it's awesome, and you think this is going to be your reality once you get out of fellowship, right? Just be operating all day long. But in reality, this is your life. And this is a busy clinic, right? So you want to focus on clinic. And I think that's something that everybody stresses and nobody really realizes till you're out. You're going to spend a lot of time trying to find patients, right? One of my co-residents is, been at work now for 2 months, and he hasn't done his first spine case yet because he's still trying to, he's got a bullet for the future. So, you got to get in the clinic, figure out the workflow. How's it going to work for you? How are you going to do it, right? How are you going to talk to patients? How are you going to convince them of the surgery? Sometimes I'll tell you early on, I felt like I could easily convince someone to do a decompression, but talking about a fusion, I felt like it was kind of tough. You got to, what are the spiels that your attendings here are saying, and how do they explain it to people, right? Because you'll find that you're going to be going through imaging using big words and using terms that nobody really understands. And you got to figure out how to kind of relay that information to your patient. This is what you think you're going to be doing too, right? You guys just came out saying you're fine, you guys do big deformities and everything is awesome. And life's going to be great, but in reality, this is what you're going to see, right? So you're going to see perfect looking spine, and
but the pain is debilitating.
Yes, so you're going to have to, you're going to really need to work on how to make people feel validated that they have pain, but they have a perfect looking spine. Like I would love to have my X-ray look like this, right? So, and that's the hard part. I'm still working on that, right? Every single time I talk to a patient, you got to make it. You got to tell them like, look, you're the hardest patient to treat. You're young, and they're 75, right? They're young and they're healthy and they're active, and their spine looks great. So you got to kind of figure out how, what are your attendings here saying, and sometimes, and look, I came from fellowship where everyone walked in the door was a operative case, right? And so that might have been just harder for me. And I think, and some of the clinics here, you also get that same experience where a lot of people are coming in and they're ready to talk about surgery, and then you have some other clinics where people are coming in because they got back pain on the way to the appointment. So and you got to figure out how to validate that. So practice your spiel, neck pain, back pain. SI joint pain, right? Everybody comes in and says it's their SI joint or their piriformis because that's what their PT guy said, or their chiropractor.
Thoracic outlet.
Thoracic outlet, right? I should have said in there. Carpal tunnel, right? You guys are very well trained to have a Tinel's or a Phelan's and tell them it's actually their carpal tunnel, or dizziness. I have a lot of people that come in for dizziness, right? It's your ear, so you got to have a little bit of a spiel for that. And honestly, the best advice for most of these patients is talk about weight loss. And that's just kind of what it comes down to. So before you leave, you should collect all your attending notes and templates, op reports, booking sheets, things that are going to be helpful for you in your life, right? You may like how Eastside does it, or you may how Mundus does it, or Ollie or I, but collect them all and say and figure out what you want to do. And so, as is just my folders here of explanations from some of my mentors, op reports from Dan Rue and things like that. Also like codes they used and op report information. And Rue used to have little buttons where you just hit the button to pay the pseudoarthrosis, hit the button for radiculopathy. And you'll see some of my notes have that and kind of like what their treatment plan is and what. And it's nice because patients get these notes now. So if they see like this really long note, they might just kind of have more information to think about it. And this is my booking sheet that I stole from one of my attendings, and I've adjusted it. But for us, when you get out, you don't know the CPT codes, you don't know the ICD-10 code, right? So for me, it's easy to just come in and just click this little button and then click. If I'm doing an AO, just click there and decompression or whatever. So it makes it easy while you kind of learn because a lot of these guys just have all this information in their head. So, but I'll often text Bob and be like, hey, what codes should I be using? So, on your off days, right, you should be looking over people's shoulders, right? It's Mondays there, and you should be looking over. And he sent me this picture recently of you guys operating, but in reality, in the everyday, this should be you guys, and this should be these guys, right? So if you notice that these attendings are operating, then this is just kind of getting in the OR and watching, right? Because I think the biggest thing so on Thursdays at Columbia, we would actually go join the PEDS fellow operating one key. And everyone's like, oh, that's a waste of your time. You don't get to be the one operating. But like, how many times have you guys watched Mundus expose? Right? Like from the across the table, you're busy exposing, right? You're busy trying to hurry up to catch up to them. So how do you know why is he exposing so fast? So if Tim's in the OR with Mundus and you guys have a minute, just hop in and watch Mundus, right? How's he retracting? How's he using the sucker, right? Why is he putting his screws in so fast? And so you get to kind of, the pressure is off.
How does he get the disco ball to reflect light so perfectly?
Take the pressure off you and just go
the
watch.
music.
And take a video. What is he doing? How did he correct it? Right? What's the technique there? Or just go. And I've done this numerous times where I've popped in the OR while the rough for e-cycling doing the decompression, and I just watched on the scope. I did this a couple weeks ago in the Phoenix. Just like watching, see like what's he doing? Right? What's different? Why is it so fast? Yeah, this is so. And again, you do know what you're missing, and you need to get into these cases and see what you need to see. Obviously, don't forget to have fun. You're here in San Diego, probably going to live here once in your life, and just enjoy. And that was going to be my last slide, but I had to toss one more in. So you have to pick and choose. You got a bunch of different attendings here, different personalities, different styles. And I won't point out which ones are which. But you're going to figure out what are you going to take from us to create you, right? So you may take something from Ollie and something from Mundus and something from eSlack and kind of create the mishmash of you. So that's all I got. If you guys can kind of probably figure out who's who in those pictures.
Ollie's Clooney.
I thought it was the gorilla.
Questions?
That's great.
Hold on.
No,
Is
it's
there
very
any-
good. Thanks.
Particular that you wish you did going back?
I think
More, I guess.
well, I think watch more, but I think when you get into the OR to watch more and the pressure's off, like think about why are they doing it, right? Why is this rod going at first? And why are they, why are you walking here and distracting here? Because you can make your PowerPoint with the arrows and all that stuff, but it just doesn't make sense as much as it does in the OR. And take a video of it, like this is where he's distracting or compressing and there's little things. I mean, you think you've done these things so many times right now, and you'll realize that when you get out, you'll forget. Like you will just it's kind of blow your mind. Like right now, how many nails have I done in residency, right? And for some reason, like I feel like I've forgotten how to do them, right? And so you'll just write these things down when you go back, and even sometimes it's just the order of doing stuff.
Where's the best place to find, I don't know if you know, but like the Epic, like OR tools, like the type of curettes or whatever, like the OR sets and stuff?
So, I think there is a place, but I don't think it's gonna be that helpful. You can actually you can go to the OR and actually ask for the entire, card, yeah.
Mm.
So you can tell them like, I want a Bruffy Lammy, and then they'll give you the entire card.
Mm.
So when I left fellowship, I left with like a back of piece of paper. I don't think the OR actually did anything with the papers that I gave them, but I essentially, you just kind of have to figure out how to, what you need, and what you don't need.
They can email you. Yeah, so I asked for when I left. They
Yeah.
can email you a card of all the preferences.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Turn it out and make adjustments to wherever you're going.
okay.
Brings up another point too. Like, you're so used to focusing
Yeah.
on surgeries and the techniques and all that, which
Don't
is
say.
super important.
Mhm.
And this is pre-op speech.
Yes.
But don't forget like little stuff like how to drape. That's something I totally I glossed over.
Mhm.
I had to figure out, remember like, okay, put this on first and then this, that, and the other. So the small, or how to even just set up the room. Where is X-ray going to be? Where am I going to be? Just focus on that stuff as well. Small stuff you don't think about, but then you're like, oh crap, I forgot it once you're out.
Yeah, if you guys haven't noticed, I'm still in the operating room doing all that. It never stops. I mean, you have to be the attention to detail. Setting it up right will allow you to have a successful case. If you don't set it up right, you'll struggle the whole case.
For whatever reason, I'm the most triggered during setup. Like the arm board. I'm like so upset and like triggered, and then like time out, and then I'm like kind of fine. But I don't know what it is. Something about it just. I'm with Bruffy though.
All right, one last piece from my end is I don't know if I heard it yet, but like try to read as much as you can. Like you're in this really vulnerable state right now where you're worried about learning, and it's a beautiful place to be from a sponge perspective, because you're going to absorb just so much information during this year. And having that augmented by what you read, I think is really important. And it stimulates really good conversation in the operating room, like during those, whatever, 5, 10, sometimes whatever, hour exposure times, like there's gonna be stuff to talk about, and it's fun to talk about life, but then it can also be like, if you're actively reading, when you talk about those papers that you're reading or the chapter that you read, it like really reinforces the knowledge that you put in there. So I always encourage you, if you can read an article before every case, I think it's just a really good solid thing to do, even if it's just like the 20 minutes beforehand, because setup took longer or whatever. So just a plug for that.
And I would save all the papers that you read, like make a little file and make them easy to see, because when you get to oral boards and stuff, it'd be really nice to just kind of have that stuff ready. You don't have to go back in time. Like I am gonna have to.
I think we have a nice database.
We do, yeah.
Nice, the historical. Yeah. That was the idea behind Joe.